Hello, everyone. This is Grace once again, interview advisor here at VanHack. And today I have here Breno. Breno is just moved to Canada, very fresh. He started working from Brazil in December for the Canadian company and moved here with his family just 2 weeks ago. Right, Breno? Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for accepting this invite. And today, that's what we do usually here, sharing a little bit of your experience with other Von hackers and see how your journey happened, right? So let's start from the start. I would like to hear from you. How did you decide start applying for jobs? How you found out about Von Hack?
Yeah, VanHack I met a couple years ago, I believe, like very in the beginning of the product. And moving to Canada always was a dream for me. So when I met VanHack and the purpose of VanHack, I was like, okay, let me prepare myself and start applying. So I tried apply several times in the past, but I felt that I wasn't prepared at the time. I had the necessary skills for that. But like 1 year and 2 months ago, I was like, okay, that's time. And I received a notification from my email saying that I had a match with a specific position and if I would like to apply for that. So I decided to apply and that's it. I feel the whole process. The company enjoys my experiences. And after that was just the offer and I'm here now.
Awesome. Thank you. And before Von Hack, were you actively working in Brazil? How was your journey there?
Yeah, I worked in Brazil for more than 10 years actually. So I started work with like legacy products in big companies in Brazil. And after several years, I decided to move my career. So I focused on startups. And that was the breaking change in my career because that is what catch eyes on startups here in Canada. Because it's a completely different mindset when you work for a governmental, when you work for big companies, and then you start to work from the startups. It's a difference. So usually the startups prefer persons that already have experience with startups. So when I decided to move that, I truly believe that was the game changer for me. So that's it. But I worked in Brazil for 10 years. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's good that you took that decision. You've made that decision. Just curious fact, I always bring that up because data, numbers are everything in life. So you
Yeah.
applied for 36 jobs total.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you say that. I always say that we only need a yes. That's all right. So that's
Yeah,
everything you needed.
absolutely. And I always say to everyone that asks me that like how easy was the process? And I usually say that the process itself, it's easy, but to be ready for the process take time. So as you mentioned, I applied 36 times. So I thought I was prepared 35 times until I was indeed prepared for my 36th time. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's great. I also see here that you had a few so you've been applying and then in these like tries you mentioned, well, before I wasn't getting selected, and as you said, it's a matter of being prepared career wise but also being prepared for that moment. When I, for example, was trying to move here at first in 2018, now that happened, well, a few years ago, I realized that at that time I wasn't ready. That wasn't the move for me. Right?
Yeah,
So it's the
I
right
totally
time.
agree with that.
That's
I
awesome.
totally agree with
So
that.
it's I say I keep repeating right place, right time because to be honest, like actually it is. So and but I know for
Yeah,
you, yeah, go ahead.
no. I was just mentioning that, for example, if I was hired in my first attempt, probably that was like 2017, if I'm not wrong, because it was like several years ago. Probably would be a good experience for me because at that time I was working for the government, so it's a completely different mindset. So imagine me onboarding in a startup here in Canada, but still with a mindset of working with like a lot of bureaucracy and a completely different mindset. probably would be a worse experience. So give time, it's necessary to change the mindset to understand what are the big difference between Brazilian companies and big companies and startup companies, and also that from the difference between Brazil and Canada, because even if you work for a startup in Brazil and work for a startup in Canada, it's a completely different mindset. And I can see this difference because before moving here, I worked for 1 year remotely in Brazil, and I noticed all the difference that had for that time. So yeah, I truly understand right now that this is the best time for me. Probably in the past wasn't be the perfect match.
Yeah, and speaking of this difference, right? I think it's very nice that you had your time working in Brazil for Brazilian companies, had your time working remotely, and now you're here. For you, what is the top three different points that you notice between both types of environments?
Yes. First thing that came in my mind is like the difference in the mindset. Usually in Brazil, companies are focused on like how many hours are you working. You need to like work 8 hours on your job because I'm paying for 8 hours. Here in Canada, at least for the company that I'm working right now, is more like, are you able to deliver what you need to deliver? If yes, I don't care if we're working like 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. I only care about what you say you do and what indeed you did. So here the mindset is more like, if you did everything that was expected from you, it's okay. Take the rest of the day off. It's more like development driven instead of no, I need to work 8 hours every single day. And that mindset is the first thing that comes to my mind. It's a completely different thing to think. The second one is the whole support. At least here in the company that I'm working, I have the support for not only my direct manager, but also my CEO constantly is asking for my feedbacks, how we can improve our experience. One thing that I noticed in Brazil is that usually a CEO is a person that is not close to you. Is something that's to get to the CEO, you need to walk a few steps. You need to talk with your manager need to talk with her manager, and there is this pair of distance between you and your CEO. And here the companies, at least the startups, is more like, no man, you need to talk to me. Okay, let's schedule a meeting. What you need to talk? Let's talk about it. And this third thing is like feedback driven. We are always giving and receiving feedbacks. It's a constant improvement. And usually I have the freedom, I have the liberty of say to my CEO or even to my direct manager if something is boring. And I say like, hey man, this is not good. This is not what I'm expecting from the company. This is not what I'm expecting from you as a manager. And they all accept this feedback as something positive. In Brazil, usually it's more like, no, I need to be silent because if I say something that my manager won't like, probably I'll be fired because it's more like a holy grail. It's a sacred person that I cannot touch. I cannot say anything. I cannot disagree about a decision. And here is more like if I'm disagreeing about a decision and I have data to prove to sustain my point of view, that will be welcome. That will be something that instead of complain about, the company will just praise and say, thank you, Breno. Thank you for giving me that because probably I wasn't seeing from your perspective, but now that I have the data that you gave me, I can
Mhm.
understand why you say what you say. So the three things, it's completely mind blowing, because if I came from like big companies, governmental, that was like full of bureaucracy. Usually
Yeah.
I need to fulfill a bunch of steps to have something, and here is more like fast, quick, we need something for today, we'll get it today. I don't need to like fill a bunch of papers and procedures to get it done. So like
Yeah.
it's a completely different thing.
That's awesome. I think it's very interesting to share aspects like that because a lot of things that we hear, right? Especially when you are in Brazil, searching for jobs. You have no clue how it's going to be, how is actually the team, even if we can research. But I think hearing from someone who's there, living the experience, coming from the same or a different nationality, even if we have, I'm pretty sure that we have candidates here watching from other nationalities to know the difference and see how positive it is. I'm very happy to hear that from you, and that's great. The employer is providing that to you as well, Breno. And overall, for you, is there anything that changed in between in terms of you feel like quality of life, or any news or any improvement, even like family wise, that you would like to share?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a different country. It's not perfect. I don't like to say it's perfect. It's different than Brazil. It is better in a bunch of things. In other things, probably you believe that Brazil is bad. But in general, I truly believe that was a wise decision. Even when I think about my family perspective, I have two kids. You know, I have a 8 years old daughter that is in school right now. I had to pay almost a kidney to have like a great school to her to study in Brazil. Here, even the public school have like good grades, have like a great quality in the school. For example, close to my place, I have a French immersion school that is like, you know, something that I never thought about it in Brazil. So thinking about this perspective was like a wise decision. Not even that, but security. You know, I take the SkyTrain when I need to go to the office. And when I see what happened in Brazil and what I see the reality right now, it's like two different worlds. You know, like I can go to the SkyTrain with my financial chief office, you know, I can use my smartphone without being afraid of being hijacked. You know, it's something that gives us this sense, this positiveness. You know, in Brazil, usually I was like afraid. I
Yeah.
cannot take the bus. I cannot take the subway because it's always so dangerous. I cannot walk like alone in the dark. Here, usually like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., I can go with this high train without being afraid of that.
Yeah.
And not only that, let me talk about small things. Like here, if I need to buy a new smartphone, if I need to buy something for my work, for example, as my MacBook, it's something affordable. In Brazil, the prices are crazy. So when you see all those things, you see that probably it's a wise decision. But of course, it's not perfect. We need to understand the difference in the health system, for example. So in Brazil, I can afford for a private insurance, and like if I'm feeling a pain in my tooth, I can go directly to the hospital. Here, it's quite different. But even with that, I truly believe that when we put into balance and we compare, in general, Canada is like a huge different away from Brazil, you know, in a positive way.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy to hear that you've been observing all these things. Just before here to call audience, Brent and I were talking about vitamins because it's winter here in Canada. And him and his family, they just got here. So I think it's like all these differences too that we need to adapt. And it's always good to hear from someone who was here before. And I was giving him tips that I would like to hear when I got here first. So I think it's a very positive exchange as well. And I'm pretty sure that you're gonna go come across a lot of people, Breno. In name of the VanHack team, we just wish you all the best. We're very happy that
Thank
the
you.
process happened and now you are all here and happy, and that's well, we just can wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the experience and all the support that VanHack gave me during the whole process. I really appreciate that and was something that really changed the way that I saw this whole process. I truly believe that without VanHack, the whole process wouldn't be so easy as it was. You know, I really appreciate that so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we are happy to help and I'll stay in touch. We wish you and the audience happy holidays. We are in the Christmas spirit right now. Christmas just coming around the corner. So
Yeah.
Pride was
Um,
uh what a year. So
yeah.
this Friday, just a reminder to everyone, we're gonna take a break, and then we come back in January the 5th, with all the energy back. So we'll see you for the next success case. It's the last of the year. Happy 2026.
Thank you. Happy holidays. See
Thank
you.
you.